The studio lights burned bright against the polished glass table as the cameras rolled, but it wasn't just another live TV segment. Viewers across the country could feel the tension before a single word was spoken. Bill Maher leaned forward, his usual smirk replaced by something sharper, more urgent. Beside him, Megyn Kelly's eyes flicked toward the monitor showing the live feed. Millions of people were watching, and the stakes had never been higher. This was the moment they had been building toward, a moment that would ripple through daytime television, news media, and even politics. The View hosts sat in the opposite chairs, smiling politely, but their fingers fidgeted against their cue cards. Something was coming, and they all knew it. For years, The View had been a powerhouse of morning talk television, known for its fiery debates, high-profile guests, and passionate hosts. But Bill and Megyn had been hearing whispers, rumors of backstage manipulation, selective editing of guests' comments, and pressure on certain panelists to stick to scripted narratives. It wasn't just gossip, it was a pattern. As seasoned broadcasters, both had grown tired of watching viewers be misled, or guests unfairly portrayed. When the network invited them for what was supposed to be a friendly crossover episode, they realized it was the perfect opportunity to confront the truth, live, unedited, and in front of millions. The segment began like any other, pleasantries, a few jokes, and then a heated discussion about free speech and media responsibility. Bill spoke first, his tone measured but piercing. "We're in a time where people trust what they see on these shows," he said, "but do they know what's happening behind the scenes?" The audience fell silent. Megyn leaned in, her voice steady but full of restrained emotion. "We've both been in this industry for decades. We've seen how narratives can be shaped. We've seen people silenced." Her words landed like a weight on the table. The View hosts exchanged glances, momentary flickers of discomfort that the cameras caught. Then Bill pulled out a stack of papers. "Emails, production notes, call sheets," he said. "Evidence of guests being disinvited after they asked difficult questions, of talking points handed out before segments aired." Megyn added, "And it's not just about politics. It's about respect for the audience. They deserve authenticity." The audience gasped. Some clapped nervously, others whispered to one another. The studio director gestured frantically behind the cameras, but it was too late. The footage was live, uncut, and unspinnable. One of the View hosts, usually known for her quick wit and fierce debating style, took a deep breath. "Look," she said, "there are a lot of moving parts in live television. Sometimes mistakes happen, but you're painting us like villains." Megyn's expression softened slightly. "We're not here to destroy anyone," she said quietly. "We're here to start a conversation about transparency." Bill nodded. "This isn't about tearing down The View. It's about holding all of us, yes, including me, accountable." As the discussion deepened, the mood in the studio shifted from combative to reflective. The View hosts, initially defensive, began to share their own frustrations, times when producers had overridden their instincts, times when they felt pressured to perform a role instead of speaking their truth. The audience, sensing the raw honesty, leaned in. A few even stood to applaud mid-segment. What had begun as an ambush was turning into an unexpected reckoning. Megyn told a story about her own early days in television, about a moment when she was instructed to skew a story in a way that didn't sit right with her. She described the sleepless nights, the eventual decision to leave that network, and the painful process of rebuilding her career around integrity rather than ratings. "I lost a lot," she said, "but I gained my self-respect back." Bill added a similar anecdote, about walking off a set when producers demanded he retract a joke he stood by. "Sometimes you have to risk your platform to keep your principles," he said. By the last segment, the atmosphere had changed entirely. One of the View hosts, eyes glistening, turned to the audience. "We can do better," she admitted. "We owe you better." Bill leaned back, visibly relieved. Megyn smiled softly. "That's all anyone wants, to do better. To be better." The studio erupted in applause, not for any one person, but for the honesty, the vulnerability, and the chance at change. When the cameras finally cut, there was no shouting, no storming off set. Instead, the hosts from both sides shook hands, some even hugging. What had begun as an exposé had turned into a dialogue, a bridge between rival media personalities. In the days that followed, clips from the episode went viral, not because of scandal, but because viewers were inspired by the rare display of authenticity on live television. Hashtags about transparency and accountability trended for weeks. The episode became a turning point. The View publicly announced a commitment to more open production practices and invited a rotating panel of outside journalists to audit their processes. Bill and Megyn received both criticism and praise but, more importantly, sparked a national conversation about trust in media. In interviews after the fact, both said they hadn't gone on to humiliate anyone, they'd gone on to push for honesty. In the end, the story wasn't about who won the showdown. It was about the power of courage and dialogue to transform conflict into progress. The segment reminded millions of viewers, and even the people on stage, that while television can manipulate, it can also illuminate. The inspiring message was clear: when you risk telling the truth, you give others permission to do the same. And sometimes, that's how real change begins, one unfiltered conversation at a